Now to an explosive hearing that was on Capitol Hill all day today. Another blatant example of America's two-tiered, unequal justice system. Now, the man responsible for investigating Joe Biden's rampant mishandling of classified material, Special Counsel Robert Hur, testified before the House Judiciary Committee today. And Hur told lawmakers that Joe Biden willfully retained top-secret classified material as a private citizen and shared such material with others. And by the way, not people that had security clearances. Take a look.
My team and I conducted a thorough, independent investigation. We identified evidence that the president willfully retained classified materials after the end of his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. This evidence included an audio-recorded conversation during which Mr. Biden told his ghostwriter that he had, quote, just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. When Mr. Biden said this, he was a private citizen speaking to his ghostwriter in his private rental home in Virginia. We also identified other recorded conversations during which Mr. Biden read classified information aloud to his ghostwriter.
Oh, that seems like a pretty obvious crime, right? If you did it, if I did it, if Donald Trump willfully retained classified material and bragged about it to a ghostwriter, hey, I just found more classified documents in my basement. Let me read them to you. The writer, the ghostwriter. Well, we'd all be charged with multiple felonies, not Joe Biden. In fact, before Biden's DOJ filed charges against former President Trump over classified material allegations, his home was raided by the FBI, even though he had previously been cooperating with the FBI and authorities. Remember, he invited federal officials into his home and even secured. They had an opportunity to be in the room where the documents were. They called a couple of days later. Can you please put another lock on that door? And of course, at the request of the FBI, they complied. In contrast, Biden was never subjected to any pre-dawn raid at any of the numerous locations, and there were a lot, where he illicitly stored material. Take a look.
Mr. Hur, classified documents were found at the Penn Biden Center?
That's correct.
They were found in President Biden's garage?
In Wilmington, Delaware, yes.
And in his basement den?
Also in the same home, yes.
And his main floor office?
Correct.
And his third floor den?
Correct.
At the University of Delaware?
Correct.
And at the Biden Institute?
Correct.
Well, that sounds like 8 separate locations. And as Jonathan Turley rightly points out, Hur confirmed, quote, that some of these documents reportedly came from what is known as a secure SCIF. Well, that would likely require Joe Biden himself to remove them. Does that not prove intent? That's not allowed. In other words, this was ultra-classified material that Biden removed from a secure location, but of course, Hur decided not to charge Joe Biden. He's a Democrat. Why would he? Now, among a litany of excuses, the special counsel just didn't think he could prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Oh, that's a reason not to bring a case? That's news to me. Take a look.
We did not, however, identify evidence that rose to the level of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Because the evidence fell short of that standard, I declined to recommend criminal charges against Mr. Biden.
He's a nice old man, and he'd come across as forgetful, and the jury would probably like him. One of Hur's chief concerns was the issue of Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Let's look at this.
I had to consider the president's memory and overall mental state and how a jury likely would perceive his memory and mental state in a criminal trial. These are the types of issues that prosecutors analyze every day. And because these issues were important to my ultimate decision, I had to include a discussion of them in my report to the Attorney General. The evidence and the president himself put his memory squarely at issue.
So we have a president who is not mentally competent, which basically is what he's saying, to stand trial. So we will only charge his opponent who is mentally competent. That's the argument you're going to make? According to the transcript from Joe's interview with the special counsel, well, the president had a very difficult time communicating or remembering simple, basic, fundamental facts. At one point, Biden asked, quote, when did I announce for president? He also asked, quote, if it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president? And, quote, in 2009, am I still the vice president? He then asked, quote, well, Trump gets elected in November of 2017. No. Anyway, Biden also could not remember the words fax machine, not once but twice, and could not remember when his son passed away. How sad is that? It turns out Biden's allegation against her, how dare he ask about his son, that was a lie. It was Joe Biden himself that brought up the issue of his son. But keep in mind, despite all of this, Joe Biden is the president of the United States, running for another term. Both Joe Biden and the Democratic Party swear that Biden is more than capable of serving in the toughest job in the world, so surely he should be capable of standing trial. And don't forget, the special counsel discovered what was a trove of top-secret documents and at least 7 unsecured locations that Biden took from secure government facilities dating back to his time as a senator. Guess what? He didn't have the ability to declassify them. And what impact would the Presidential Records Act have on any of this? Biden then shared this classified information with at least one private individual without any security clearance, his ghostwriter. $8 million worth of reasons to have this information. Here's how Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan summed it all up earlier today. Take a look.
Joe Biden felt he was entitled. You can almost hear it. You can feel the arrogance in the statement. They're mine. But even with all that, Mr. Hur chose not to bring charges. In your report, Joe Biden viewed his notebooks as an irreplaceable, contemporaneous record of the most important moments of his vice presidency. He had written this all down for the book, for the $8 million. And the next thing you say in your report is, quote, such a record would buttress his legacy as a world leader. You know what this is? It wasn't just the money. It wasn't just $8 million. It was also his ego. Pride and money is why he knowingly violated the rules.
And willfully. Pride and money. Chairman Jordan will be here with us in a moment. We'll also get reaction from Chairman Comer. But Jim Jordan was right. This was another free pass for Joe Biden, despite some reprehensible conduct. Now, Democrats, you would think they'd be elated. Well, instead today they were furious, and some were totally overcome with hysteria, incensed that Biden was forced to endure any scrutiny at all. A few Democrats even seemed confused that someone other than Donald Trump was being investigated by Joe's DOJ. Take a look.
It's not a memory test for President Biden. It's a memory test for all of America. Do we remember fascism? Do we remember Nazism? Do you remember communism and totalitarianism? Have we completely forgotten the sacrifices of our parents and grandparents in prior generations?
What Joe Biden does, and understanding Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid are important institutions that help seniors, not senile people. I mean, I really object to that comment. People, nobody suggests he's senile, and that's disrespectful of senior people with any kind of memory disability. Lots of seniors have memory disability, but they're not senile, and to do such was shameful. Joe Biden is a competent, good president.
You are a Republican, though, aren't you?
I am a registered Republican.
Yes, sir. And you're doing everything you can do to get President Trump reelected so that you can get appointed as a federal judge or perhaps to another position in the Department of Justice. Isn't that correct?
Congressman, I have no such aspirations, I can assure you.
You chose a general pejorative reference to the president. You understood when you made that decision, didn't you, Mr. Hur, that you would ignite a political firestorm with that language, didn't you?
Republicans have used the special counsel's report to further their longstanding efforts to re-elect the former white supremacist in chief, Donald Trump.
Now, tonight, there's really just one way to hold Joe Biden accountable. That is in November. November 5th, to be exact, in 237 days, you, the American people, can and frankly must remove Biden from office and do it at the ballot box. As of right now, the polls are not looking good for Joe Biden, even after his jacked-up performance at the State of the Union address. According to a new Harris poll, Biden's approval is hovering at a record low 37%. In a head-to-head matchup, Trump is beating him by 5 points.